Good evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you may be listening or watching to us, folks. This is the Onward to Victory podcast, hosted by Giant Killer. I'm Joe Szymanski. To my side here is my good friend Palmer Johnson. Palmer, the losing days are done. Mason got it done. As we're recording this on Sunday because I have a commitment tomorrow, so no recording tomorrow. But we've got a win yesterday afternoon, arguably, actually, in the face of all the issues that Mason has had. Arguably, George Mason's most dominant conference win of the season, coming on Saturday. A big win, stops the four-game losing streak against St. Bonaventure last night. Obviously, still a disappointing result in the middle of the week against St. Joe's. Another blowout. We were all very despondent. I'm going to be honest with you, Palmer. I've been battling a cold all week. I wasn't feeling well. I didn't watch that game. I don't really know if I have any regrets not watching that game, knowing how the final score turned out, if I'm being honest with you here. But it's still one we're going to have to talk about here. And again, it's just Mason. The slow starts, we're talking about it. Mason actually technically won the second half, but we're down 23-12 after the first 10 minutes, and that kind of spiraled from there, it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, St. Joe's just kind of punched Mason in the mouth, and Mason punched back with a little 7-0 run to make it I want to say 23-17, and the game was just never. That was it. The St. Joe's went on a run, and then the game was over. It was never closer than that.
Yep, yeah, just pretty telling way to say it there. It's bad when the walk-ons get involved in the last 2 minutes of the game. Ben Woodward and TJ Procise got involved. Actually, 2 points for Procise, good for him. But that's when it's not going well there for Mason. That's when you can really tell it's not going well at all. Allensbach, the only guy in double digits, 23 on the night from the big man. Devin Booker, the second leading scorer with 9. That's how you know it was not a good night, I have to say, Palmer.
Yeah, I mean, Booker was fun, but I think somebody else mentioned it. If you're looking at performances and you see a fun freshman, and that's kind of one of your highlights, it was not a good game.
A bad night. That's not a good thing. And then you look at the counting stats. You look at it, only 11 turnovers, 36 boards, 10 assists for the Patriots. Some of those, underlying counting stats don't look that bad, but I think really the storyline, Palmer, 66% for Joe's from 2, plus 37% from 3. Mason only 50% from 2. And I think critically on 24 opportunities, 6 of 24 from 3 on the night. Palmer only 25%. And that's really been, I think, the key here. Mason probably loving the 3 ball a little bit too much during that losing streak.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has been they were getting those easy 2s early on in the season, and now they aren't. And I like Allensbach, but we're getting a couple too many possessions a game where it's Allensbach's open for 3 with 10 seconds left. You kind of got to take it. And that's happening a lot more.
Yeah, it's been a problem. That's been a big problem. Really did take a hit there to the top 4. I mean, it was already hit really bad. Lost to Dayton almost 2 weeks ago now, but the loss to St. Joe's, that now moved Mason. They don't have the tiebreaker over Joe's anymore. They're a win behind now, Joe. They're a game behind Joe's, plus no tiebreaker, plus a game behind Dayton with no tiebreaker. With the loss to Dayton, just a real struggle there for the Patriots in the end. Nothing good can come from that, but finally, yesterday afternoon, Palmer, some signs of life. Really, and I feel like the key here, we talked about, losing the first 10 minutes 23-12 on Wednesday. Yesterday, a 18-9 first 10-minute win for Mason kind of set the tone. Early 14-2 run within the first round, 5 minutes of that game set the tone. Mason did fall behind for a little bit. No, they never lost. Yeah, Mason never was behind in this game, which again, that's not something that's usually happened here, Palmer. Mason hasn't fallen behind. I think they went on a little run there at the start of the first half to make it 34-39. But then Mason, big 3 coming out of the timeout, and that was kind of it. Bonaventure really showed no signs of life after that. And really, if anything, the the ending score here of a 13-point margin, a couple of late baskets from Bonaventure kind of blew up the margin there. It was nearly 20 points, I think, with about 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, I mean that was a wall to wall. I mean, just kind of blowout, and uh, I think a lot of it was Allen Scott got a lot done early, and of course Troutman had his best game of the season. Honestly, his first good game since like MLK Day against GW or the VCU game. It's been a while since he's had a truly like a positive game, and hopefully this is the start of. Hopefully he's ramping it up, and it's time to make this not one but maybe like 6 straight games in a row. Let's see.
Yeah, we've talked about we need more aggressiveness from Troutman. We need more aggressiveness, just him getting to the rim, getting, maybe if he gets hit out well, taking those shots. We want to see more of that from him. Obviously, he seems like a player where it's critical. He makes one early in the if he makes his first one, clearly it's a real positive for him going throughout the rest of the game there. But you take it in the end, Palmer. You take it 21 from Troutman, 21 from Allensbach. I want to point out here, a very, very critical 11, 6, and 4 from Jahari Long. Very critical for him coming off maybe his worst performance as a Patriot on Wednesday against St. Joe's. Really critical for him. Corey Mincy, only 6 points, only 2 for 9, but Palmer, I thought he looked the most comfortable. And I thought he looked the most aggressive, I think, particularly with his hands on defense since the loss, since he hurt his thumb against Duquesne in the loss to Duquesne a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I feel like he was the shots didn't happen to go in, but this was one of Mincy's better games recently where the shots just kind of happened to miss, but I feel like he only took one shot where it's like, what was that? And it went in. So
Yeah.
his worst shot of the game went in. So yeah, I mean, it was more of a I feel like a lot of games has been Mincy every once in a while will just kind of hijack a possession and take a 18-foot mid range is like that's not what I wanted to see. And he didn't do that this game. He just kind of played within the flow of the offense, which is generally kind of the best option. If you're not an absurd number one option, playing as within the flow of the offense is kind of what you should do.
Absolutely, Palmer. Absolutely. No doubt about that for sure. But yeah, just a huge win in the end for Mason. I thought some good bench minutes, not necessarily showing up on the stat sheet, but I thought some good bench minutes from Stas and Conga this game. I want to point them out too. We haven't had a lot of positives to talk about in our last couple episodes here, Palmer, so I'm going to go through as many as I can here. But it just feels nice. Look, I know St. Bonaventures, they're not a good team. It's a pretty bad Bonnie's team this year. Big difference, I have to say, in this rematch compared to when we played them in Olean. Mason didn't let Caden Charles get going really at all. He had 13 points, I think, in the first game. He only ended up with 1 yesterday afternoon. Daryl Simmons is going to get his. DeSante Bowen's going to get his. Frank Mitchell is going to get his. But Mason held them all below 20. The highest score for St. Bonaventure was 16. It was I think it was 14, 15, and 16 between those three in terms of points, and then really just no other action for the Bonnies at all in terms of scoring. Just a very good job of Mason not letting anyone else hurt them, which it feels like that's been the bigger dagger for them the last couple of weeks. They've let players who are not doing well kill them. Didn't happen for the Patriots yesterday afternoon, Palmer.
Yeah, I mean, Bonnie has like 3 volume scores, and generally Bonaventure wins when one of the 3 volume scores just kind of goes off. And Mason kept all 3 of the volume scorers getting volume, not efficiency, but volume. I think one of my favorite things about the last game was Conk had 3 assists, and they were real assists. It wasn't like
good assists.
He didn't happen to touch the ball last. It was like, oh, he made a guy move and saw a guy open and threw it. It's like, wow, that's. I mean, his short roll. He had 2 short roll assists. I don't remember the third, but I remember 2 short roll assists.
It was the pass out to Troutman for his third. I remember that one.
Okay.
Troutman 3 in the corner in the second half. He pulled in a second guy with the front dribble, and then he passed it over to Troutman for the 3.
Which, I mean, that's a freshman big man. That's something you expect like your 2 guard to do. Like your 2 guard to do, not your center who's kind of more of a physical guy. I mean, that shows a lot of what he can definitely be down the line. That was awesome. And yeah, also we do have to go over the elephant in the room. Fat Hill got hurt.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
it was yeah, we don't know where that's going to be, obviously. The good news is that he was not in a boot. He was on ice with crutches, which seems to suggest an ankle sprain of some sort, but not a, hopefully not a serious ankle sprain. We'll see what his status is for Tuesday in Richmond against VCU. I think that's a good turnover into what we're talking about next year, Palmer. The hardest two games of the year. Undeniably, the hardest two games of the year are for the last two in conference play. Palmer, it's March 1st today. We are 10 days out from Pittsburgh. I'll be in attendance all tournament long in the Steel City, my home state of Pennsylvania. I love it to see it. But, Palmer, it is just the deal here. It just is what it is. At VCU, at home versus St. Louis, two really tough games. We know what VCU is about, Palmer. We're not going to spend too much time on them. If you want to hear kind of us go through their key players, it hasn't really changed since we covered the home matchup about a month and a half ago now against the Rams. But man, they are clearly the second best team. They since starting the season 2-2, Palmer, which was that loss against Mason here in Fairfax. That was the one. They have gone 11-1 since, the only loss on the road at St. Louis. So, they've already clinched. I believe they've already clinched the top two finish at this point. This is a very good VCU Rams team. They're hard to beat. They're hard to stop. Just they are what they are, Paul. And it's never fun going in the Siegel Center.
Yeah, I think the only two differences are Terrence Hill. We thought Terrence Hill was this crazy, crazy scorer, and now he's just a good scorer. Yeah, he's dropped down to 31% from three in conference play. He was like 45% when Mason played him. And Tyrell Ward, who
has returned.
he was suspended, we believe. I don't know. He left at the same time as he stopped playing at the same time as who is it? Hughley, and then came back at the same time. And I kind of think like, is that something academic? Is that some like timeline I don't know about? But he's now just kind of a solid 3-and-D wing, which is just like nice to have. They're very it's just like he's not because there's some kind of like preseason like could this be a all first team guy, and I was like, no, he's just a solid wing, and you're okay with that.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Really, it's been a very interesting thing here. Lazar Djokovic. But like you said, Terrence Hill, his fall down in three. This has been a team that is supposed to really be strong at hitting threes, but their guys who take a lot of threes have not been hitting them as much recently here. Nick Lewis has been okay in conference play. Terrence Hill, like you said, has taken a downturn in conference play. Jadrian Tracy has taken a downturn in conference play. Lazar Djokovic can pop one when he wants to, but in terms of people who shoot a lot of threes, not a lot of these guys are hitting at high levels here, but it's their interior offense. Djokovic, Evans, these guards who can get to the hoop, that's been really damaging here in conference play.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's what Mason has struggled with. They let up a lot of rim pressure. So you just kind of got to hope that, Lewis, Noel, Tracy, Hill, these guys can all drive, and just kind of hope they don't. Because we know what Mason is now. They kind of a lot of their guards kind of struggle on the perimeter, so we just gotta hope that whatever they do works.
Yeah, that's the thing. But now we got to move on. Senior night, March 7th, last game of the season, Palmer. Mason sees the best A10 team probably since 2019-2020's Dayton team. The St. Louis Billikens come to town, Palmer. We know what they can do. This is a team that can kind of score at will. The best three-point shooting team in the entire country, Palmer. Not just in the A10. In the entire country. At 41.4%. They make the highest total of threes. You look at the list, Palmer. Robbie Avila, Quentin Jones, Trey Green, Brady Dunlap, Ishan Sharma. And you know what? Dion Brown can hit a couple when he wants to, Palmer. I mean, the 5 first names I mentioned, Palmer, all have shot more than 73s, and every single one of them is hitting above 40% from threes. I mean, what do you even do to defend that on the perimeter?
Uh, Davidson ran him off the line, and it kind of worked for like 10 minutes. But they're such a good team that's like, okay, running us off the line. We'll take twos. We'll do it. It's just kind of the one of those you can't stop everything, and unfortunately, St. Louis kind of has everything. Because I mean, as you said, you just get on the list and it's like, how is this possible? How is everybody shooting? Because it's not just like they're shooting 40%. It's like this guy's shooting 45%, 48%. It's like they just have unlimited shooters, and
They
it's
have two
great.
guys shooting 48% in conference play, Palmer.
Yeah,
Eshawn Sharmer and Trey Green are both shooting above 40% in conference play. And then the next guy who's shooting, the top guy, they're 2 or 3 in the conference. The top guy in the conference in 3-point shooting in conference play is also on their team, and Brady Dunlap, who's hit 51% of his threes on 47 attempts.
yeah,
Again,
yeah.
what can you do?
They have 7 Kobe Bryos, where it's just like, it's like, well, you stop that one guy, the other guy's open too. And Sharma's scary because he does genuinely nothing except shoot threes. But if you're playing on this, second in the conference in 3-point rate or 3-point make rate, they're still going in. I mean, he's doing no, he has taken what? He's taken nine twos in conference play, and he's taken 92 threes. I mean, he is just truly just getting the ball, and he generally what I've seen a lot is he catches it kind of moving and just throws it in, and it goes in, man.
And it
Uh,
goes in.
and I mean,
I've never seen. Palmer. I think St. Louis might be one of the most non-Mason A10 teams I've watched in the season. It is incredible to me how every time I watch St. Louis, I see these look, and it's to their credit. I'm not saying they're lucky. Don't get me twisted. St. Louis is not lucky. They're a very good team, but it's crazy how many shots I see that it feels like the Jokic shot all the time, right, Palmer? Where
yeah,
it's like, oh, I can't imagine that went in. Never mind. Like it's crazy. It's incredible how it's every game they have 4 or 5 threes. They're like, I can't believe that went in. Never mind. I can't believe you shot that and it goes down. And then they'll have like 5 of those a night. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like that. And got to give props to Josh Hart for bringing this team together.
yeah. It's so they have like it feels like they have like 4 or 5 heat check guys who were just always hot. Like
Yep.
they have 4 or 5 Trey Dinkins, but they're always going in. Like you're never getting like that 2 for 9 night that you get from Trey Dinkins sometimes. It's like no, it's always 4 for 9. It is always 4 for 9. Uh, and I mean, Trey Green is just so scary because uh, Terrence Hill preseason was the kind of the logo. And I said the deep three. I said preseason conference or out of conference play. It was this guy's getting the ball. He's going to shoot it and it's going to go in. And Trey Green is that too, where
Yeah.
it's just he'll take a couple words like the defense wasn't really like they were still getting set, and all of a sudden like a shot's flying from 4 feet past the around 3-point line, and it's like that went in. Well, time to play offense.
Yeah. And then you talk about their 2-point offense. They've got some of the best 2-point guys in the league. Kellen Thames and Robbie Avila are the 2 best 2-point makers in the conference percentage wise, according to Ken Palm. You also have Amari McCautry and Dion Brown, some of the best drivers in the country on the wings. There's outside of Trey Green, all of them are at average or above average height size for their positions. Like I said, Palmer, is there even a chance? I know Rhode Island beat this team. I know Dayton, kicked the shit out of them recently. But barring a miracle from God, how does George Mason win this game?
Uh, I don't know.
That, that,
It might be
that, that says it. That says it all right there, folks.
because
Palmer usually has a great answer, usually right off the bat, and what we get is an I think that tells you what this St. Louis team is like.
it's kind of like they're truly. I mean, Kellen Thames is like A10 Giannis, where it's like it doesn't matter if he's a non-shooter, he's still gonna be crazy good.
Mm-hmm.
There truly just isn't really a weakness. Like I guess the weakness is like they kind of don't get fouled a lot, but it's like, well, they're not getting fouled a lot because they're taking a lot of threes, and when they're not taking threes, uh, they have wide open twos because there was a lot of gravity on those threes. I mean, honestly, like Trey Green's playing like A10 Steph Curry, where they should really like there's people are scared so much to just get guard him off ball. Uh, it's one of those crazy things. Like your best bet might be like let's just lock down the two and see what happens from three, because there's
Yeah.
really is like it's because like do you I guess you just go with the higher variance option because if you play St. Louis straight up, you're not winning. You were I mean
Yep.
like St. Louis has to have an absurdly bad shooting night for you to play straight up and
Which is what happened against Dayton. Fair. Like I think St. Louis shot 5 of 21 from 3 that night. So like, that's what happened against Dayton for them.
yeah, and that's just not really a viable strategy of hope. Like let's just hope they make like half of the amount of threes they normally do. Yes,
Yeah, it just doesn't work like that.
it's a tournament team. It's an at-large team, and
It's
it's
an
not just like
at-large
a
team. It's a
it's
team
a
that
it's a very clear at-large team. It's not there's no it's and they're also like playing well. Like it isn't like Dayton a couple years ago where it's like they're at large because they had a crazy out of conference and then just kind of were fine because they went like what 14-4 is like yeah they were like the St. Louis is like was playing their best basketball like in early late January early February like this team has been great really recently.
Yeah. But speaking of the conference tournament, Palmer, like I said, we're 10 days away from Pittsburgh. This is where kind of, after the fall off, we've had those 5 losses in 6 games, Palmer. This is where yesterday's victory over St. Bonaventure really looms large. Mason confirms himself within, I believe now confirms himself within the top 7 of teams. They cannot finish any lower than 7th because they won't lose any more than 8 games in a season now, in the year now. Everyone from George Washington below, which GW is currently in 8th place. They can't, like I said, Mason can't lose any more than 8 games. GW can't win any more than 9 games, which puts them at 9, which would put them at 9-9. So that would mean Mason means they won't finish any lower than 6. Critically as well, don't forget they still do have a tiebreaker over Davidson, but they do not have a tiebreaker over Duquesne, though Duquesne is technically 2 games behind the Patriots right now. So just to kind of play this off right now here, if Duquesne loses any of their last 2 games, Mason will finish ahead of Duquesne no matter what happens, as well as if Davidson loses any of their last 2 games, because Mason does have the tiebreaker over the Wildcats based on their win. So Mason, even though they're out of the top 4, Palmer, it looks like potentially a top 5 finish is at least very plausible for this group.
I would like to say that's the most likely option because both teams because Duquesne has Rhodey and Richmond, which at Rhodey like Rhode Island's kind of stunk, but at Rhodey's not an easy game. And Richmond, you just don't know with Richmond. And then Davidson, their last 2 are home St. Joe's and at St. Bonaventure. I could see both the teams going 1-1, going 2-0. Unfortunately, it does feel like we're almost like kind of preemptively like Mason's gonna go 0-2 probably, which stinks, but that's what's we've been kind of taught the last month, where it's like don't count on them winning right now. It is crazy. Mason still has a chance to be a top 4 team, but the
really interesting thing is here, Palmer, is that if Davidson does beat St. Joe's,
yes,
then suddenly it does kind of open things back up a little bit. Mason is 1-1 against Joe's. It just means that Mason's tiebreaker that was there is no longer there. It does not mean that St. Joe's has a tiebreaker over Mason. We have to go to the common opponents. I'm not totally clear how the A10 does that, but you do know.
It's based off highest opponent. It starts highest.
Oh,
so Mason would get it. They would get it if they beat St. Louis.
Okay.
And they probably get it off VCU as well.
Probably get it off VCU because VCU beat St. Joe's.
Yeah.
So if Mason split somehow by some grace of God, let's say that Mason splits against VCU and SLU. If Mason splits that means that if St. Joe's also splits, that I would believe that would mean that like Palmer said, that would mean that Mason would get top 4. Is that correct? Am I counting here correct, or is that wrong? No, because they're a game ahead. So if Mason goes 2-0, if Mason by some
Mason has to go 2-0.
Mason goes 2-0 and St. Joe splits. That means that would let Mason get into the top 4 here.
Yes, Mason has to win one more game.
St. Joe's would have to go 0-2 for Mason to go 1-1, and then and this. So Mason, if St. Joe's goes 0-2 and Mason splits their last 2, Mason would get top 4. If St. Joe's wins any more at the same level or any more than George Mason, they would get in. They would jump the Patriots. If Mason beats St. Joe's by any level of wins, they would jump St. Joe's, even if that would put them on the same record like Palmer says. But because Mason would in theory have a win either over St. Louis or the tiebreaker over VCU because of a win over VCU, that means the Patriots would jump the Hawks straight to Friday. But again, like you said, that just seems so unlikely. It feels like 5th place is the most likely. Again, Davidson can only lose 1 game. They can't jump Mason at the same record. Duquesne can because of the tiebreaker. So Duquesne, both teams can only lose 1 game. Any loss by either of them would mean they would fall off. They would fall behind Mason in the standings. So Mason in 5th place, Palmer. If you look at the schedule here, let's assume that within here, if we assume 5th place for George Mason, if we look at the schedule here for the Atlantic 10 tournament, if we look at the schedule here, that would put Mason at the 2 o'clock game on Thursday. They would play one of the pillow fight teams. I believe it would be the 12-13, and it would be the 12-13, which currently would be one of LaSalle or St. Bonaventure, which I have to admit, Palmer, that's not an awful draw. Now, I wouldn't complain about that, Palmer. I would not complain about that being the first game for the Patriots of the year.
Yeah, I mean, they went 2-0 against Bonaventure, and, that seems like
I think LaSalle is dead. They have so many injured players.
Yeah.
I think they just might be dead.
Like, LaSalle put up a great fight against Mason last time, but they just have so many guys missing that it's kind of like, that's probably, it's just so much is missing from them. And Bonaventure came on. I mean, we know the Schmidt line. These guys don't need rest. They're 19. They're college kids. So basically, we'll be playing St. Bonaventure with 4 guys, probably playing 38 minutes or more, 24 hours later. So Mason will have a massive rest advantage on them. It's just if Mason loses that game, oh well. It's not a bad draw. It just happened.
Yeah, it's life. But our next pod, Palmer, we'll be talking about the A10 tournament. Hopefully, we're talking about at least 1 win after that, too. But for now, that's where we're going to cut it out. Palmer, this is it for the regular season podcast. Can you believe it? We're almost to the end of the season here, folks. But for now, that's where we're going to cut it off. I'm Joe Szymanski. He's Palmer Johnson. We're with Giant Killer. Thank you all for listening. This is the Onward to Victory podcast, your one-stop shop for George Mason basketball. Have a great day, everybody.